Before we start, drop a comment. Where are you watching from and what time is it right now? And if the Michigan Dogman gives you chills, hit that like button. Subscribe for more cryptid military encounters. Let's get into this. March 2017. Manistee National Forest, Michigan. That's where I learned that some legends aren't legends at all. That's where I learned the 7-year cycle is real. That's where 7 of my brothers died because we didn't respect Michigan folklore. Didn't believe what the locals had been trying to tell people for 130 years. I'm Corporal Jake Morrison. I'm 28 years old. I serve in the U.S. Army as a ranger. I encountered the Michigan Dogman and am one of 3 people who survived. Not just one dogman, but countless numbers. They stand 2 to 2.5 meters tall, bipedal. They have wolf heads and hunt using human intelligence and pack tactics. We were 10 rangers, standard winter survival training, 2 weeks in the Manistee learning cold weather operations, snow navigation, survival skills. Routine training. We'd done it before in Alaska, Montana, the Rockies. Michigan shouldn't have been any different. Except 2017 was special. 2017 was a 7-year cycle year. And in Michigan, that means something. That means the Dogman returns. That means people disappear. That means smart locals stay out of the deep woods, stay away from Manistee, wait for the cycle to pass. We didn't know that. Nobody told us. Or nobody who mattered told us. The locals tried, but we didn't listen. We flew into Traverse City on March 15th. Drove to the Manistee National Forest staging area, 500,000 acres of dense Michigan wilderness. Pine forests, rivers, hills, beautiful country in winter. Snow-covered, pristine, looked like a postcard. Our team leader was Captain Sarah Mitchell, 32. 2 deployments. Afghanistan veteran, good officer. Careful, thorough, she'd survive this. So would Corporal David Torres and I. The other 7 wouldn't. We were staging our equipment when a local approached us. Old guy, maybe 70. Logger by the look of him. Weathered face, flannel, and work boots. He watched us unload winter gear with an expression I couldn't quite read. Not hostile. More like resigned concern. "Y'all doing training out here?" he asked. "Yes, sir," Captain Mitchell replied politely. "Winter survival training, 2 weeks. We'll be in the northern section. Minimal environmental impact. Standard military protocols." "Northern section," the logger repeated. "Deep woods, that where you're headed?" "Yes, sir. Any areas we should avoid? Endangered species habitat? Private land?" "You should avoid all of it," he said flatly. "This year especially. 2017, it's a 7-year. "A 7-year?" Mitchell asked, confused. "The cycle. Michigan Dogman appears every 7 years. 1987, 1994, 2001, 2008, 2015, and now 2017. Patterns held for as long as anyone can remember. During 7 years, people go missing in the Manistee. Hikers, hunters, campers. Bodies show up later, if they show up at all. Torn apart, killed by something big. Something that walks on 2 legs but ain't human." Private Ryan Walsh smiled. Not mockingly. Just the polite smile you give when hearing local folklore. "We'll be careful around the bears, sir." "Ain't talking about bears," the logger insisted. "Bears don't walk upright for miles. Don't leave tracks that look half human, half canine. Don't hunt in packs. And bears don't appear on a schedule. Dogman does. Every 7 years, like clockwork. And this is that year." "We appreciate the warning," Mitchell said diplomatically. "We'll maintain proper wildlife protocols. Stay alert. We've operated in dangerous environments before. We'll be fine." The logger looked at us. Each of us in turn. And I saw something in his eyes. Not fear, exactly. More like pity. Like he'd seen this before. Known people who didn't believe. Known people who went into the Manistee during 7 years. Known people who didn't come back. "Your funeral," he said finally, and walked away. We should have listened. We humped into the Manistee that afternoon. Full winter gear. Packs. Weapons for wildlife defense. Standard loadout. The terrain was challenging but manageable. Snow was maybe 2 feet deep. Temperature around 20 degrees. Clear skies. Perfect training conditions. "You think that old guy really believes in the Dogman?" Private Marcus Chen asked as we hiked. 23, smart kid, first deployment cycle. He'd be dead in less than 24 hours. "Locals always have stories," Private Jennifer Hayes replied. 25, medic, experienced. "Every region has its cryptid. Michigan has the Dogman, Washington has Bigfoot, New Jersey has the Jersey Devil. It's folklore, cultural mythology. But the 7-year pattern," Corporal Robert Kim pointed out. "That's specific. Why every 7 years? Why not random?" "Because it's not real," Torres said. "It's confirmation bias. Something bad happens in the woods. Locals blame the Dogman. Over time, they notice it seems to cluster around certain years. 7-year intervals sound mystical. Pattern emerges from noise. Classic folklore creation." Made sense. Rational explanation. We were educated, trained, modern soldiers who understood the difference between myth and reality. We weren't going to be spooked by campfire stories about wolfmen. We should have been. We set up base camp 10 miles in. Good location, elevated, near a creek for water. Clear sight lines. Captain Mitchell ran a tight operation. Proper protocols, security rotations, fire discipline, everything by the book. "Tomorrow, we start navigation training," Mitchell briefed. "Compass work, map reading, cold weather shelter building, standard curriculum. Questions?" "Captain," Private Tom Anderson raised his hand. "Command mentioned something about missing hikers. Are we supposed to keep an eye out for them?" Mitchell nodded. 2 hikers. Reported missing 6 days ago. Last known location was about 15 miles north. Search and rescue conducted preliminary sweeps. Found nothing. We're not primary search, but if we encounter any evidence, we report it immediately. Clear? Clear. The first night was quiet, cold. We maintained watch rotations. 2 rangers, 2-hour shifts, standard security. Nothing unusual. Just Michigan wilderness in winter. Silent, beautiful, peaceful. The second day, we found the hikers, or what was left of them. We were conducting a navigation exercise, following a compass bearing through dense forest, and we came across their camp, or what remained of it. Tent shredded, not cut, torn, like something with claws had ripped through it. Equipment scattered. Sleeping bags destroyed, and blood, a lot of blood, frozen into the snow. Dark red. Almost black. "Jesus," Hayes whispered. "What happened here?" Mitchell examined the scene. "Looks like animal attack. Bear, maybe. Or, Captain." Torres was looking at tracks. In the snow, leading away from the destroyed camp. "You need to see this." We gathered around the tracks. They were large, canine-like, but wrong. The rear feet were digitigrade, like a dog or wolf, but the front feet were almost hand-like, with clearly defined digits, and they were in a bipedal pattern, left, right, not 4-legged, 2-legged, walking upright. "That's not a bear," Kim said quietly. "Not a wolf either," Chen added. "Wolves don't walk on 2 legs. Can't walk on 2 legs. Could be a hoax," Anderson suggested. Someone faking tracks, creating the Dogman legend. With what? Torres countered. Custom prosthetics? Out here in the middle of nowhere? Why? And how does that explain the destroyed camp? The blood? The missing hikers? We follow the tracks, Mitchell decided. Document everything. See where they lead. Stay alert, weapons ready. If there's a large predator in this area, we need to know what we're dealing with. We followed the tracks. They led north, deeper into the Manistee. The tracks were clear in the snow. Easy to follow. Too easy looking back. Like whatever made them wanted to be followed. Wanted to lead us somewhere. We found the first body after 2 hours. Male hiker, mid-30s probably. Hard to tell because of the condition. He'd been torn apart. Not eaten. That's the detail that disturbed me most. Not consumed, just destroyed. Ripped limb from limb with massive force. Left scattered across 50 feet of forest. Hayes checked for vitals. Pointless, but protocol. He's dead, has been for days. Body temperature matches ambient, frozen solid. Cause of death? Mitchell asked. Massive trauma. Multiple lacerations. Crushed bones. Something very large, very strong. Very aggressive did this. Bear? I suggested, hoping. Hayes shook her head. Wrong wound patterns. Bear kills are different. This is... I don't know what this is. We found the second body another hour later. Female hiker. Similar condition. Destroyed. Not eaten. Just killed with extreme violence and left. We need to report this, Mitchell said. Get proper authorities out here. Search and rescue. Maybe fish and wildlife. Whatever killed these people is extremely dangerous. She pulled out the radio. Called base. Traverse Base, this is Mitchell. We've located the missing hikers, both deceased. Apparent animal attack. Recommend immediate evacuation and investigation. Over. Static. Then, Mitchell, copy your report. What's your current location? Over. Mitchell gave coordinates. Base confirmed. Promised extraction by morning. Weather was coming in. Helicopters couldn't fly in snowstorm conditions. We'd have to spend one more night in the Manistee. Then we'd get out, get away from whatever killed those hikers. One more night. That's all we needed to survive. But in the Manistee, during a 7-year cycle, one night can be forever. We set defensive perimeter, found a depression that offered some cover, built a fire. We'd planned to practice cold weather camping without fire, but protocol changed. Whatever was out there, we wanted light, wanted visibility, wanted fire to keep predators away. You think it's really the Dogman? Chen asked, as we ate MRES around the fire. Like that logger said, I think there's a large predator in these woods, Mitchell replied carefully. Could be a wolf. Could be a bear exhibiting unusual behavior. Could be something we're not familiar with. But cryptid? Mythological creature? No, there's a rational explanation. Those tracks looked pretty irrational, Torres pointed out. Bipedal canine, that's not normal predator behavior. Nature is full of anomalies. Maybe it's a wolf with a birth defect. Maybe it's a hybrid. Maybe it's injured and walking strangely. We don't jump to supernatural conclusions. But even as Mitchell said it, I saw doubt in her eyes. Saw the way she kept checking the tree line. Kept her weapon closer than usual. Saw the way we all did. Because those bodies weren't killed by anything normal. Those wounds weren't inflicted by any predator we'd trained to handle. At 2200 hours, we heard it. Howling. Distant at first. Coming from multiple directions. But not wolf howls. Wrong pitch. Wrong tone. Almost human. Like someone imitating a wolf howl, but not quite getting it right. Uncanny valley, close enough to recognize. Different enough to be deeply unsettling. Count the sources, Mitchell ordered. We listened, triangulated. 5, I reported, maybe 6, different locations, roughly a mile out, surrounding us. Pack behavior, Torres said. They're coordinating, communicating. Wolves do that, Mitchell replied. Pack hunters. It's normal. How many wolf packs hunt in March? Kim asked. In Michigan, this far south, wolves are rare this far down the peninsula, almost extinct in lower Michigan. Maybe they're returning, Hayes suggested. Migration, climate change, habitat restoration. The howling got closer. Half a mile now, moving toward us, deliberate, coordinated. Defensive positions, Mitchell ordered. Circle the fire, overlapping fields of fire, weapons ready. We don't shoot unless directly threatened, but we're prepared. Clear? Clear. We formed up, 10 rangers, backs to the fire, facing outward, watching the darkness, seeing nothing. But hearing them, the howling, the movement, branches snapping, snow crunching, getting closer. I see something, Chen said. 3 o'clock, 30 yards. I looked, saw a movement, a shape, large, moving between trees, bipedal, standing upright, maybe 7 feet tall, shoulders too broad, head wrong, canine, wolf-like but bigger. And it was watching us, standing there, just watching, making no attempt to hide. Contact, Mitchell said quietly. Everyone see it? Yes, ma'am. Identify. Unknown, large, bipedal, canine features, approximately 7 feet tall. That's not a wolf, Hayes whispered. That's not anything normal. The creature tilted its head, like a dog hearing an interesting sound, and then it vocalized. Not a howl, not a bark, something between. A sound no normal animal makes. A sound that triggers every instinct humans evolved to fear predators. And then 4 more stepped out of the trees. Different positions. Surrounding us. All roughly the same size, all bipedal, all canine-headed but human-bodied. All watching us with intelligence that shouldn't exist in animals. 5 of them, Torres counted. Pack, they've surrounded us. Light, Mitchell ordered. We activated flashlights, high-powered tactical lights, aimed at the creatures, and in the beams, we saw them clearly. Saw what the dogmen actually looked like. What 130 years of Michigan folklore had been trying to describe. 7 feet tall, dark fur, bodies built like humans but more muscular. Arms longer than human arms, hands that were halfway between paws and human hands, with visible claws, legs digitigrade, bent backwards at the ankle like dogs, and the heads wolf-shaped, German shepherd features, long snouts, pointed ears, but the skull structure was wrong, too human, too flat. The eyes reflected light like animals, but the expression behind them was intelligent, aware, calculating. These weren't animals. Not entirely. They were something else. Something that shouldn't exist, something Michigan locals had been seeing for over a century and trying to warn people about. The Dogman, Chen breathed. It's real. The legend is real. And then they moved, coordinated, pack tactics. 3 charged from the front, 2 flanked. Classic wolf hunting pattern, but executed with human-level planning, intelligence. Fire! Mitchell screamed. We opened fire. 10 rifles, full auto. The sound was deafening. Muzzle flashes lit up the forest. Bullets hit. We saw impacts, saw blood, saw the creatures stumble, but they didn't stop. Didn't fall. Didn't die. One of them got through. Grabbed Chen, those massive hands closing around his torso. Chen screamed, fired his rifle point-blank into the creature's chest. It barely flinched, just bit, those massive jaws closing around Chen's throat. I heard bones snap, heard Chen's scream cut off, and the creature threw him, threw a 200-pound man like he was a toy. Chen hit a tree, slid down, didn't move again. Fall back, Mitchell was screaming. To the cabin, that abandoned cabin we passed. Move! We ran. Through the snow, through the darkness. Behind us, the dogmen howled. Not in pain, in triumph, in excitement. The sound of predators who'd just made their first kill, who knew more were coming. We'd lost Chen in less than 30 seconds, lost him to something that shouldn't exist, to a creature from Michigan folklore, to the Dogman, and there were 5 of them. 5 intelligent, coordinated, extremely dangerous creatures, hunting us, playing with us, enjoying it. The logger had tried to warn us. 2017 was a 7-year. The Dogman returns. People disappear. Bodies show up torn apart. We should have listened. Should have stayed out of the Manistee. Should have respected 130 years of Michigan folklore. But we didn't. And now Chen was dead. And the rest of us were running for our lives through a Michigan forest. Running from creatures that hunted like wolves and thought like humans. Running from the Dogman Pack. And the night was just beginning. The cabin was maybe 2 miles from where Chen died. 2 miles running through snow. Through darkness. Through a Michigan forest that belonged to things that shouldn't exist. Behind us, we heard them. The dogmen. Not chasing at full speed. Following. Pacing us, letting us run, herding us toward the cabin. They're playing with us, Torres gasped as we ran. They could catch us. They're faster, but they're letting us run. Doesn't matter, Mitchell replied. We get to the cabin, we fortify, we hold until extraction. That's the mission now. Survive until morning. The cabin appeared through the trees. Old hunter's shelter, abandoned for years probably. A single room, log construction, shuttered windows. 1 door, not much, but better than being in the open. Better than trying to fight 5 dogmen with no cover. We crashed through the door, slammed it, barricaded it with everything we could find. Old furniture, logs from the fireplace, our own packs, anything to create a barrier. Windows, Mitchell ordered. Secure them. Use anything. Make this place a fortress. There were 4 windows. All had old wooden shutters. Rotted, damaged, but still functional. We closed them, nailed them shut using our knives, reinforced them with gear, made gun ports so we could fire through, turned the cabin into a defensive position. Ammo check, Mitchell ordered once we'd secured every opening. We counted. Each of us had maybe 3 magazines left, 30 rounds per magazine, 90 rounds each, 900 rounds total. Sounds like a lot. But against 5 creatures that shrugged off gunfire, against dogmen that seemed nearly bulletproof, not nearly enough. We're running low, Private Tom Anderson reported. 24, youngest on the team. Good kid. He wouldn't see dawn. Used a lot in that first contact. Didn't know they could take that much damage. Aim for heads, Torres suggested. Brain shots. Has to be more effective than center mass. If they have brains, Private Daniel Foster muttered. 22. Quiet kid. Usually calm, but his voice was shaking. He wouldn't survive either. They're intelligent, Mitchell said. They coordinated, used pack tactics, flanked us. That requires thinking, planning. They have brains, which means headshots should work. We just need to be accurate. Outside, we heard movement. The dogmen had arrived, circling the cabin, making noise, letting us know they were there, psychological warfare, wearing us down before the real attack. Count them, I said. We listened, tracked the sounds. Still 5, Lance Corporal James Carter reported. 26 combat engineer, good soldier, he'd die buying us time to escape. Same 5, haven't called for reinforcements, just the original pack. 5 against 9, Corporal Robert Kim said. Odds are better than before. Odds don't matter against things that don't die when shot, Private Jennifer Hayes countered. 25, our medic. She'd saved a dozen lives in combat. Wouldn't be able to save her own. We hit that first one maybe 30 times. It barely slowed. How do we fight that? We adapt, Mitchell replied. We learned they're tough. Now we learn how tough. We find weak points. We exploit them. We survive. That's what Rangers do. Around 2,300, they started testing us. Not a full attack. Probing. One would rush the door, slam into it, test the barricade, then retreat. Another would hit a window, check if the shutter would break, then pull back. They were learning, figuring out our defenses, finding weak points. They're smart, Torres observed. Smarter than wolves, smarter than any animal. They're testing systematically, checking every approach, learning our setup before committing to a real assault. How smart? Foster asked. Animal smart or human smart? Human, Mitchell said grimly. Or close enough that the difference doesn't matter. They're thinking, planning, using strategy. We're not fighting animals. We're fighting intelligent predators who happen to look like animals. At midnight, they attacked for real. All 5, simultaneously. Coordinated assault on all sides of the cabin. The door, the windows, even the roof, they were climbing, using those clawed hands to grip the log walls, to pull themselves up, to get above us. Roof! Private Ryan Walsh screamed. 24, sharp kid. Good instincts, he'd survive. They're on the roof! We heard them up there. Massive weight, moving around, looking for weak points. The cabin was old, the roof was probably rotted. If they found the right spot, they could come through. Drop into the cabin, attack us from above while we were focused on the doors and windows. Shoot through the ceiling, Mitchell ordered. Drive them off. We fired upward. Blind fire through the wooden roof, hoping to hit something, hoping to at least scare them off, and it worked. We heard them retreat, heard them drop from the roof, pull back. But while we were focused above, one of them hit the east window, hit it hard. The shutter cracked, splintered. The dogman's clawed hand came through, grabbed, trying to rip the shutter completely off. East window! I was firing, point blank, into the hand, into the arm reaching through. The creature roared, pulled back, but the shutter was damaged now, barely holding. Another hit or two and it would fail. Reinforce it, Mitchell ordered. Carter, Anderson, get that window secured. Carter and Anderson moved to the window. Started piling gear against it. Anything to add weight, to make it harder to breach. But while they worked, the dogmen hit the west window. Different approach. More coordinated. They were learning, adapting, getting smarter with each attempt. This assault lasted maybe 5 minutes. Then they pulled back, retreated into the forest, left us in silence, in darkness, waiting. They're toying with us, Hayes said, wearing us down, making us waste ammo, making us exhausted. Then they'll attack when we're weak. They're also learning, Torres added. Each assault, they learn more. What works, what doesn't. They're getting data, getting ready for a final push. How long until extraction? Kim asked. Mitchell checked her watch. 7 hours, dawn is 0630. Helicopter extraction at 0700. We need to hold 7 hours. We won't make it, Foster said quietly. 7 hours against those things? We'll run out of ammo. They'll break through. We'll all die like Chen. We don't have a choice, Mitchell replied. We hold, we fight, we survive. That's the mission. That's what we do. The next attack came 30 minutes later. 2 dogmen on the door, ramming it, using their bodies as battering rams. The barricade held, barely, but we could hear wood cracking, nails pulling loose. The door wouldn't last many more hits. "We need to move," Kim shouted. "We can't stay here. They'll break through." "Where do we go?" Mitchell demanded. "Outside is worse. At least here we have walls, we have some defense. We're trapped here. We're sitting ducks. We're alive here. We go outside, we die in 30 seconds like Chen." But Kim was panicking. Combat stress, fear, exhaustion, all combining into irrational decisions. And before anyone could stop him, he unbarred the door, opened it, and ran. "Kim! No!" But he was gone, into the darkness, running. We heard him screaming, running through snow, crashing through brush, and then we heard them. The dogmen giving chase, that terrible howling, excited, hunting. Kim's screaming lasted maybe 10 seconds, then cut off, abruptly, horribly. He'd made it maybe 100 yards before they caught him, before they pulled him down, before they did what they'd done to Chen, to the hikers, tore him apart because they could, because they were apex predators and we were prey. "Close the door!" Mitchell was screaming. "Close it now!" Torres and I slammed it shut, rebarricaded it, but the damage was done. The dogmen knew we were panicking, knew we were breaking, knew they were winning, and they pressed, harder, more aggressive, testing us, pushing us, making us make mistakes. The east window shutter finally broke at 0200. 30 years of rot and weather combined with repeated dogman impacts finally exceeded its structural limits. The shutter exploded inward, splinters everywhere. And through the opening, a dogman reached. Those massive arms, 7 feet of reach, clawed hands grabbing, searching, finding Hayes. She was closest. She tried to dodge, too slow. The dogman grabbed her by the hair, started pulling her toward the window. "No!" Anderson grabbed Hayes, tried to pull her back, tug of war, Hayes screaming. The dogman pulling with strength no human could match. And we were all firing, shooting the arm, the hand, trying to make it let go. It didn't let go, just pulled harder, faster, and Hayes went through the window, through the opening, into the darkness outside. We heard her scream, for maybe 3 seconds. Then silence. "Hayes!" Anderson was at the window, trying to see, trying to help, leaning too far out. Another dogman grabbed him from a different angle, grabbed his arm, pulled. Anderson tried to resist, tried to pull back, but the creature was too strong, just yanked, hard, and Anderson's shoulder dislocated with an audible pop. He screamed, lost his grip on the window frame, was pulled halfway through. Torres and I grabbed his legs, pulled. The dogman pulled back, Anderson screaming the entire time, being torn apart by opposing forces, and then the dogman bit, those massive jaws closing around Anderson's upper body. We heard ribs crack, heard Anderson's scream turn liquid, and the dogman yanked him through, out into the darkness, gone. "Get away from the windows," Mitchell ordered. "Center of the room, defensive circle, cover all approaches." We formed up, 6 of us now. Kim, Hayes, Anderson, all gone. All dead in less than 2 hours. 3 more rangers killed by dogmen. Killed by creatures from Michigan folklore. Killed by things that shouldn't exist, but very clearly did. "Ammo check," Mitchell ordered. We counted. Average maybe 2 magazines left per person. 60 rounds each. 360 rounds total. Not enough, not nearly enough. "We're going to die here," Foster said. Flat, accepting. "We're all going to die in this cabin in Michigan, and nobody will believe what killed us. We're not dead yet, I countered. We've survived 3 attacks. We know they're vulnerable to gunfire, we've hit them, drawn blood. We just need to be smarter, more efficient, headshots only, make every round count. They're learning too, Torres pointed out. Every attack, they adapt. Figure out what works. That last one, they coordinated. One drew our attention to the east window while another attacked from different angle. That's sophisticated tactics. That's military-level planning. They're hunting us, Walsh said quietly. He'd been silent most of the siege, observing, processing. Like wolves hunt deer, exhaust the prey, isolate individuals, pick them off one by one until the herd is weak. Then finish them. That's what they're doing to us. Then we don't act like deer, Mitchell decided. We act like rangers. We adapt, we plan, we counterattack when possible, we survive. But surviving felt impossible. 6 rangers in a rotting cabin. Against 5 intelligent dogmen who seemed nearly indestructible. With limited ammunition, no reinforcements, 7 hours until extraction. The math was bad, getting worse every hour. The next attack came at 0300, and this time they changed tactics completely. They didn't assault, didn't ram the door, didn't test windows. They just waited, outside the cabin, making noise, howling, moving around, keeping us awake, keeping us alert, wearing us down through exhaustion rather than violence. They're smart enough to know we're tired, Torres said. Know we've been awake for 24 hours, fighting for hours. They're letting fatigue do the work, letting us make mistakes. And it was working. We were exhausted, running on adrenaline. Every sound made us jump. Every shadow looked like an attack. We were firing at nothing, wasting ammunition on imagined threats, doing exactly what the dogmen wanted. We need to rest, Mitchell said, rotating sleep. 3 awake, 3 asleep. 2-hour shifts. We can't function on 0 sleep. We'll make fatal mistakes. Can't sleep, Foster protested. Not with them out there, not knowing they could break through any second. We have to try. That's an order. Walsh, Carter, Foster, you 3 get some sleep. Torres, Morrison, Mitchell will keep watch. 2 hours. Then we switch. It was impossible to sleep. I watched Foster try. Watched him lay down, close his eyes. But his body wouldn't relax, couldn't relax, knowing 5 dogmen were circling outside, knowing they'd already killed 4 of our team, knowing we might not survive the night. None of us slept. We just waited, watched, listened to the dogmen outside, howling, moving, planning, getting ready for dawn, for their final assault, for the kill, because that's what wolves do when hunting. They wear down prey through night, through cold, through fear, and when dawn comes, when the prey is exhausted and weak, they attack, finish it, feed. We were the prey. The dogmen were the hunters. And dawn was coming. Dawn came at 0630, gray light filtering through the cabin's damaged shutters. And with it came silence. The dogmen stopped howling, stopped moving, just stopped, like they'd been switched off. "They're gone," Walsh said, peering through a gun port. "I don't see them, don't hear them." "Doesn't mean they're gone," Torres countered. "Could be tactic, make us think we're safe, lure us outside. Or they're nocturnal," Foster suggested. "Daytime retreat. They'll come back tonight." "We're not staying to find out," Mitchell decided. "Extraction is at 0700, 30 minutes, 15 miles, Carter said quietly. "Through forest, through their territory. With them out there somewhere. We'll never make it." We don't have a choice. We stay here, we die. Maybe not today, but tonight when they come back. Or tomorrow night, or the night after. They'll wear us down, eventually they'll break through. We have one shot at escape, one window. We take it now." She was right. 6 Rangers couldn't hold a rotting cabin indefinitely. Not against 5 dogmen, not with limited ammo and no resupply. Our only chance was movement. Get to the LZ. Get extracted. Get away from the Manistee. Away from Michigan. Away from the 7-year cycle. We geared up. Stripped the cabin of anything useful. Extra magazines. First aid. Food. Water. Prepared for a 15-mile forced march through hostile territory. Through forest controlled by creatures that had killed 4 of our team in one night. "Stay together," Mitchell ordered. "Nobody separates. Nobody falls behind. We move as a unit. We watch all directions, and we do not engage unless absolutely necessary. Speed is life. Clear? Clear." We opened the door carefully, weapons ready, expecting immediate attack. But nothing came. The clearing around the cabin was empty. Morning sunlight, fresh snow, peaceful, like the night's horror had never happened. "They're gone," Walsh repeated. "They left." "Or they're waiting," I said, "letting us get comfortable, then ambush." We moved out. Fast walking pace, not running. Running burns energy, makes noise, causes mistakes. But fast, covering ground, navigating by compass toward our vehicles 15 miles south. The first 5 miles were quiet. Just hiking. Beautiful Michigan wilderness. If you didn't know better, you'd think this was perfect country. Pristine forest, wildlife, nature at its finest. But we knew better, knew what lived here, knew what was watching. "Tracks," Torres reported at mile 6. He was on point. Best navigator, he'd stopped. Looking at the snow. "Fresh, made this morning, multiple sources." We gathered, looked, dogman tracks, lots of them, crisscrossing our route, all around us. Made, recently, within the hour. "They're tracking us," Mitchell said. "Following. Staying out of sight but monitoring." "Why not attack?" Foster asked. "They have us in the open. No shelter, no fortifications. Perfect ambush opportunity." "Because they're smart," Carter answered. "They're letting us exhaust ourselves. 15 miles carrying full gear. Through snow, uphill terrain. By the time we reach the vehicles, we'll be spent. Easy prey." "Then we don't reach the vehicles," I said. "We call for emergency extraction. Have the helicopter meet us part way, cut the distance." Mitchell pulled out the radio. Called, got static, tried again, more static. "Something's interfering with comms, terrain maybe, or..." She looked at the trees around us, at the forest that suddenly felt hostile, alive. "Or they're smart enough to know we'd try to call for help. Smart enough to position themselves to block signals." "That's impossible," Walsh said. "They're animals. Animals can't jam radio signals." "They're not animals," Torres countered. "Not entirely. They're something else. Something that thinks, plans, uses strategy. And if they've been in these woods for 130 years, they've learned, figured things out, maybe even figured out how to interfere with human technology." "That's crazy," Foster protested. "Everything about this is crazy," I replied. "But it's happening. We're living it, so we adapt." We kept moving. Faster now. Running when we could. Trying to put distance between us and whatever was tracking us. Mile 7. Mile 8. Getting closer. Getting desperate. At mile 9, they hit us. Not all of them, just one, appeared from nowhere. Dropped from a tree. Landed right in front of Foster. Foster was 4th in our column, too far back to get support quickly. The dogman grabbed him, lifted him, and bit, those massive jaws closing around Foster's head. We heard skull crack, saw blood. Foster didn't even scream, just went limp, dead instantly. The dogman dropped him, looked at us, and ran, back into the forest, disappeared. "Foster!" Carter was running to him, checking, pointless. Foster's head was crushed, his brain exposed, dead. Nothing anyone could do. "Leave him," Mitchell ordered. "We can't help him. We need to keep moving." "We're not leaving him. He's dead. We stay. We join him. Move." We moved, left Foster's body, left another ranger in the Michigan snow, another casualty of the dogmen, another price of not believing the legends. 5 of us now: Mitchell, Torres, Carter, Walsh, and me. 5 out of 10, 50% casualties. And we still had 6 miles to go. "They're picking us off," Walsh said, voice shaking. "One by one, isolating, killing. We'll never make it." "We make it," Mitchell insisted. "We have to make it." But doubt was creeping in. Even Mitchell sounded uncertain. We'd lost half our team, lost rangers to creatures that shouldn't exist, creatures from folklore, creatures that thought like humans and hunted like wolves. How do you fight that? How do you survive? Mile 10. We saw them. All 5 dogmen, standing in a line across our path, blocking our route. Just standing there, watching, making us understand. They controlled this forest. They decided who lived, who died, who escaped, and behind them, another one, bigger than the others. Maybe 8 feet tall, scarred, old wounds visible on its muzzle, its shoulders, battle-hardened, the alpha, the pack leader. It stepped forward. The other 5 moved aside, deferred to it, and the alpha spoke, not words, but sounds, deliberate, directed at us, making its presence known, establishing dominance, claiming territory. 6 of them, Torres counted. Not 5, 6. The alpha wasn't with the others last night. It sent the pack, tested us. Now it's here personally. "We can't fight 6, Carter said. "We barely survived 5. The alpha looks twice as dangerous as the others. We're dead." "We're not dead yet," I said. "We have weapons. We have training. We can—" The alpha moved, fast, impossibly fast for something that size, covered 30 yards in maybe 2 seconds. Grabbed Carter, those massive hands closing around his torso. Carter fired, point blank. Emptied his magazine into the alpha's chest. The creature didn't even flinch, just held Carter, looked at him and crushed. We heard Carter's ribs break, heard him screaming, and the alpha threw him through a 200-pound man like he was nothing. Carter hit a tree, didn't get up. "Run!" Mitchell was screaming. "Forget the vehicles, just run!" We ran, no more tactics, no more planning, just survival instinct. Running through Michigan wilderness. Behind us, the dogmen gave chase, not at full speed. They could catch us easily, but they were playing, enjoying it, the hunt, the terror, the power. Walsh was slowest, carrying the most gear, falling behind. "Leave the pack!" I shouted at him. "Drop weight!" But before he could, the alpha caught him, appeared from the side, grabbed him by the leg, pulled him down. Walsh screaming, firing. The alpha just held him, looked at us, making sure we saw, making sure we understood. It could take us any time. It chose when we died. And then it dragged Walsh into the forest. Walsh screaming the entire way, begging, pleading. The screaming lasted maybe 30 seconds, then silence. 3 of us. Mitchell, Torres, me, 3 Rangers out of 10, running for our lives. No plan, no hope, just running because stopping meant dying. And then we heard it. Engine noise, vehicle, coming from ahead, our staging area. Someone had come early, search party maybe, or extraction moving up the schedule. Didn't matter. Just meant salvation. We broke through the tree line, saw our vehicles, 2 trucks, right where we'd left them 4 days ago. Felt like a lifetime ago, back when we were 10 Rangers, back when the Dogman was just folklore, back when we were confident, trained, professional soldiers. "Keys!" Mitchell was shouting. "Who has keys?" "Chen had them," Torres replied. "Shit, Chen's dead. They're back at the cabin with his body." "Hotwire," I ordered. "Carter taught me. I can hotwire." I ripped open the truck's steering column, found the ignition wires, started working, hands shaking, fumbling. The dogmen were coming. I could hear them, howling, getting closer. 30 seconds away, 20. "Hurry!" Mitchell was at the tree line, firing, controlled bursts, trying to slow them. Torres joining her. Both burning through their last magazines, last ammunition, last defense. I touched the wires, sparked. The engine turned over, caught, started. "Get in! Get in now!" Mitchell and Torres ran, piled in. I was already moving. Floor it, don't look back, just drive, get away, survive. Behind us, the Alpha emerged from the forest, standing at the tree line, watching us drive away, not chasing, not angry, just watching. Like it had made its point, like it had let us go deliberately. A message, a warning. This is our forest. We let you live this time. Next time, we won't. We drove, fast, reckless, through Manistee National Forest, through Michigan back roads. Didn't stop until we hit Traverse City. Didn't feel safe until we were surrounded by buildings. People. Civilization. 3 Rangers out of 10. Chen, Kim, Hayes, Anderson, Foster, Carter, Walsh. 7 dead. Killed by the Michigan Dogman. Killed during the 7-year cycle. Killed because we didn't believe, didn't listen, didn't respect 130 years of folklore. And the Dogmen were still out there. Still in the Manistee. Still waiting for the next group of people who didn't believe, who didn't take the warning seriously, who thought they could survive where 7 Rangers couldn't. The 7-year cycle doesn't end. It just waits. 1987, 1994, 2001, 2008, 2015, 2017. And now 2024 is coming. Another 7-year, another cycle. Another chance for the Dogman Pack to hunt, to kill, to prove they're real. We survived, barely. And we'd spend the rest of our lives wondering if we were lucky, or if the Alpha just decided to let us go, to let us spread the warning, to let us tell people the Dogman is real, the 7-year cycle is real. And if you go into the Manistee during 2024, you might not come back. 7 Rangers didn't. 7 Rangers died proving Michigan folklore is truth, and the pack is still there, still hunting, still waiting for 2024. Don't be the next one. Don't go to Manistee in 2024. Don't test the 7-year cycle. Because the Dogman doesn't forgive, doesn't forget, and doesn't lose. We reported to Traverse City authorities 3 hours after escaping the Manistee. 3 traumatized Rangers. 7 missing. A story about creatures that walked on 2 legs and hunted in packs. Story about the Michigan Dogman. Story nobody wanted to hear. "You're saying wolves killed your team," the sheriff said. Not a question. A statement. Telling us what our story would be. Not wolves, Mitchell insisted. Dogmen, bipedal canines, 7 to 8 feet tall, intelligent, using pack tactics, using strategy. 7 rangers dead. We need search teams. You need rest, the sheriff interrupted. You've been through trauma, lost friends, in shock. The mind creates explanations for terrible things, makes sense of chaos. What you encountered were wolves, large wolves, maybe a hybrid pack. Dangerous, yes, but wolves, not cryptids, not monsters from folklore. We know what we saw, Torres said. I'm sure you do, but what you saw and what actually happened might be different. Stress, fear, darkness, these factors distort perception, create false memories. You think you saw dogmen, understandable, but you saw wolves. That's my official determination. You're covering it up, I realized. You know, the locals know, everyone in this area knows the dogman is real. You just don't want to admit it. Don't want panic. Don't want tourism destroyed. The sheriff was quiet for a long moment, then, off the record, I've lived in Michigan my whole life. 63 years. My grandfather told me about the dogman. His grandfather told him. Story goes back generations. Some years people go missing in the Manistee. Bodies turn up torn apart. Other years, nothing. Peaceful. And if you track the years people disappear, you find a pattern. 7-year intervals. 1987, 1994, 2001, 2008, 2015, and now 2017. You're admitting it's real, Mitchell said. Off the record, I'm admitting there's something in those woods. Something dangerous. Something that appears on a schedule. On the record, it's wolves. Large, aggressive wolves. And your team had the misfortune of encountering them during mating season when they're most territorial. That's the story. That's what goes in my report. And that's what you'll tell the Army. And the 7 rangers who died? Torres demanded. They just become statistics? Casualties of wolf attacks? They become heroes who died during a training accident. You'll get full military honors? Families will get benefits. The Army will investigate, find environmental factors contributed to casualties, and improve training protocols. Everyone gets closure. Everyone moves on. Except the dogmen, I said. They're still out there. Still in the Manistee, still hunting. And in 2024, when the next 7-year comes, they'll kill again. More hikers, more hunters, more people who don't believe the warnings. That's 7 years away, the sheriff replied. 7 years for people to forget, for new people to move in, for tourists who never heard the legends. The cycle continues, has continued for over a century, will continue for another century probably. That's just how it is in Michigan. Some places belong to things we don't control, don't understand. We just learn to avoid them. Learn when to stay out of certain forests. Learn to respect the 7-year pattern. The Army investigation took 2 weeks. Interviews, site examination, recovery operations. They found bodies. Chen, Hayes, Anderson, torn apart. Consistent with large predator attack. Wolves, officially wolves, case closed. They never found Kim, Foster, Carter, or Walsh. Search teams went into the Manistee, came back fast, refused to discuss what they saw, refused to go back. The bodies stayed missing, declared dead, presumed killed by wildlife. Buried in absentia, we were debriefed, separately, kept apart so we couldn't coordinate stories, asked the same questions different ways, testing for inconsistencies, looking for cracks in our account, trying to find the truth. You reported encountering large bipedal creatures, the investigator said to me. Dogmen, That's your official statement? That's what happened. And you understand how that sounds? You understand the Army can't put "killed by cryptids" in official reports. I understand the Army wants this to go away, wants a rational explanation, wants to blame wolves or bears or training failures. But 7 Rangers died. They deserve the truth. Their families deserve the truth. Their families will get closure, death benefits, full honors. What they won't get is a story about monsters from Michigan folklore, because that story helps nobody, just raises questions, creates conspiracy theories, damages the military's credibility. So we lie. So we simplify. We focus on what's provable: large predators, difficult terrain, unfortunate circumstances, training protocols that need improvement. That's a story people can accept, can learn from, can use to prevent future casualties. Mitchell, Torres, and I were all given the same speech, all pressured to change our stories, all told the official narrative would be wolf attacks, all threatened, subtly, with consequences if we didn't comply. We complied. What choice did we have? Tell the truth and be labeled crazy? Dishonorably discharged? Have 7 Rangers' deaths classified as training failures due to psychological break? That helped nobody. So we agreed. Wolves, large, aggressive wolves. Training accident, tragic but understandable. The Army was satisfied, the investigation closed. 7 Rangers buried with full honors, and the 3 of us transferred, separated, sent to different posts, making sure we couldn't talk, couldn't compare notes, couldn't build a coherent alternative narrative. But we stayed in touch. Email, phone calls, occasional meetings when we could. And we researched, independently, looking for patterns, looking for proof, looking for evidence that what we'd survived was real, was documented, was part of something bigger than one night in March 2017. We found it. Records going back decades, not official records. Those had been sanitized. But local newspapers, police reports, missing person cases. And when you compiled them, tracked them, looked for patterns, there it was, clear as day. 1987. 7 missing in Manistee National Forest, March through April. Bodies found torn apart. Wolf attacks. 1994, 9 missing, same area, same time frame, same causes. Aggressive wolf pack. 2001, 5 missing, pattern holding, same explanations. 2008, 11 missing, worst cycle in recent memory. National Forest temporarily closed, officially for wildlife management. Unofficially because too many people were dying. 2015, 6 missing. Pattern continues. And 2017, our 10 Rangers. 7 dead, 3 survivors adding to the century-plus body count. The pattern was undeniable. Every 7 years, spring months, Manistee National Forest multiple deaths, always blamed on wolves or bears, always explained away, always covered up. And locals knew, had always known. That's why the logger tried to warn us, why the sheriff didn't want to investigate, why search teams refused to go back into the forest, why Michigan residents avoided the Manistee during 7-year cycles. Common knowledge in the area, folklore everyone respected. Until outsiders arrived, until people who didn't know better ignored the warnings. Torres found historical records going back to 1887, newspaper accounts, lumberjacks killed by wild beasts in Manistee region. Strange wolf-like creatures reported walking upright. Lumber camp abandons operations after workers disappear. Same stories, same location, same 7-year pattern, for over 130 years. The Michigan Dogman wasn't new, wasn't a recent phenomenon, had been there, had been killing, since before Michigan was heavily settled, since before logging, since before Europeans arrived, probably longer. Native American legends mentioned wolf walkers, spirits that took wolf and human forms, guardians of the deep forest, creatures that punished trespassers, different cultures, different names, same beings, same pattern, same 7-year cycle. Mitchell found something else. Government records. Classified initially, declassified later through FOIA requests. Military investigations into anomalous wildlife encounters in Michigan forests, dating back to the 1940s, every 7 years. Soldiers training in Manistee reporting unusual bipedal canine sightings, every report dismissed, every witness transferred, every incident buried. We weren't the first military unit to encounter the dogmen. We were just the latest. Over 70 years of military training in Michigan. Multiple encounters, multiple casualties, all explained away, all classified, all forgotten until the next 7-year cycle. Why do they appear every 7 years? Torres asked during one of our meetings. 3 years after the incident, 2020. Next cycle, 4 years away. Why that specific interval? Why not random? I don't know, Mitchell admitted. Maybe biological, breeding cycle, migration pattern. Maybe they hibernate or den for 6 years, come out the 7th. Or maybe it's territorial. They only hunt when population pressure forces them to, when food is scarce, when they need to remind humans this forest is theirs. Or maybe it's supernatural, I suggested. Maybe 7 years is significant for reasons we don't understand. Magic, mysticism, curse, whatever. Point is, pattern exists. Pattern is consistent. Pattern is predictable. Which means 2024 is coming, Torres said. Next 7 year, next cycle, and people will go into the Manistee, hikers, hunters, campers, because nobody told them. Because the warnings were buried. Because 7 years is long enough for people to forget, to dismiss, to ignore. We tell them, Mitchell decided. We document everything. We publish, we warn. We make sure 2024 doesn't have more casualties. More deaths that could have been prevented. We tried. God, we tried. We wrote articles, posted online, contacted paranormal investigators, cryptozoology researchers, anyone who might listen, anyone who might spread the warning. Some believed, some shared our story, some added it to the growing collection of Michigan Dogman accounts, but most dismissed us, chalked it up to misidentification, stress, false memory, attention-seeking, the usual skeptical responses, and the media didn't care. Soldiers claimed dogmen killed rangers isn't news. It's tabloid fodder. It's ridicule material. Nobody took it seriously. Nobody understood the danger. Except Michigan locals, they understood. They'd been living with the knowledge for generations. And they prepared. As 2024 approached, I noticed changes. Michigan hunting forums discussing avoiding Manistee in spring. Tourism websites quietly not promoting the national forest for March-April bookings. Local law enforcement increasing patrols. Emergency services prepositioning resources. The people who knew were preparing. Respecting the cycle. Staying away. But the people who didn't know, tourists, out-of-state hikers, adventure seekers, they had no idea. No warning. No protection. I moved to Michigan in 2023, near Traverse City. Close enough to monitor. Close enough to warn people personally if I saw them planning to visit the Manistee in spring 2024. Close enough to maybe save lives. Torres did the same. Different town. Same goal. And Mitchell, she submitted a formal request to the Army, asked them to ban military training in Manistee National Forest during spring 2024. Cited our incident. Cited the 7-year pattern. Cited 70 years of previous encounters. The request was denied. No credible evidence of anomalous threats. Training will proceed as scheduled. So, we wait. It's December 2023 now. 3 months until the next 7-year cycle. 3 months until March 2024. Until the dogmen return. Until people start disappearing in the Manistee. Until the body count starts again. And there's nothing we can do. Can't force people to believe. Can't make the government acknowledge what's there. Can't prevent people from exercising their freedom to hike wherever they want. All we can do is warn, document, share. Hope that enough people listen. Hope that enough people take it seriously. Hope that 2024 has fewer casualties than 2017. 7 Rangers died in 2017. 7 good soldiers. Died because we didn't believe, didn't respect Michigan folklore, didn't take the warning seriously. They died proving the dogman is real, died proving the 7-year cycle is real, died so others might live if they just believe the story, if they just respect the pattern. Chen, Kim, Hayes, Anderson, Foster, Carter, Walsh, 7 names I carry, 7 friends I couldn't save, 7 warnings written in blood and snow in a Michigan forest. Don't let their deaths be meaningless. Don't make the same mistake we did. Don't go to Manistee National Forest in spring 2024. Don't test the 7-year cycle. Don't assume folklore is fiction, because the Michigan Dogman Pack is real, has been real for over 130 years. Will be real when 2024 arrives. And they don't care if you believe in them or not. Don't care if you think they're myths. Don't care about your education, your training, your weapons. They care about territory, about cycles, about patterns older than human civilization in Michigan. And when their 7-year comes, they hunt, they kill. They remind everyone that some forests don't belong to humans. Never did. Never will. The cycle is coming. March 2024. Less than 3 months away. And when it arrives, the dogmen will return to the Manistee, will return to their territory, will return to hunting. Don't be there when they do. Don't become the next statistic, the next mysterious disappearance, the next body found torn apart in Michigan snow. Stay out of Manistee in 2024. Respect the 7-year cycle. Believe the warnings. Because 7 Rangers didn't believe, and 7 Rangers died, and the pack is waiting for the next group of people who don't believe, who don't listen, who think they can survive where we barely did. The pattern is clear. The evidence is there. The warnings are real. The choice is yours. But choose wisely. Choose to live. Choose to respect what Michigan locals have known for over a century. The dogman is real. The 7-year cycle is real, and 2024 is coming.